Welcome to the live channel show. I have people texting me. Let's see here. Should have went on the other phone. Hold on a second. See what that looks like. See if anybody comes in here. I see that a lot. And I say that a lot. Notifications have not been my friend. I took down last night's live feed. Sitting here in Missouri. Got some people in here. There it is. You guys like that thumbnail? You guys like that? Someone text Pale Rider, make sure he's in here because we're going to start a YouTube war. Picking up the truck in the morning. Ratman, I wish I was there. I guess technically I could drive there empty. But I don't deliver till 10:30 tomorrow, so. DIY trucking and more. Overtax Minnesota. Ulu Honesty. Thomas Wilson. GNC Family Trucking. Eddie Drotar. TJ Jones. Unsung Hero of YouTube. Howdy. Donnie Luke. Big Houston. Ratman Roden. Scramble North. No creative parking tonight. Good deal. Oh no, Mr. Bill. Well, I'm in the shop. I had both not sensors replaced 2 months ago. Went bad. Want to hear the news? Sure, Thomas. Where you at, Chucky? I have not watched Jonathan Houston's last video. Wilson, Thomas Wilson, if you want to put it out there. I just went live when he texted me, so if you want to talk later, we can. National back order on them is 2 to 3 months. Let's talk about that for a second. If there's a national shortage of a small part that is keeping like Chevy and Ford from making new pickups. If there's a national shortage of semi-truck parts that are real small, and if they all went out at the same time, it would literally cripple the majority of this industry. That's kind of a scary thought. Why would you put your weight? It's kind of like the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. It was one O-ring that made the whole thing blow up. The failure of a small part. And it just shows you how fragile that one little thing could really mess things up. And that's my biggest fear. My truck's still in the shop either Monday or Wednesday. I haven't decided yet. Now, there's no sensors involved. Well, I take it back. The APU will probably need a new sensor, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the part's going to look like. If the APU can't get parts, that's not a big deal. It's just out on my truck. But what if one of the truck needs, you know? What isn't back order at this point, right? Hey, so now why is Pelerider mad at you? I'll get into that in a minute. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm not going to say anything if he's not going to be in here. We've become too dependent on a supply chain outside of our own control. That's one thing, Bill. But first of all, reliability of these trucks, new trucks. What has made the reliability worse? The engines are built better. It's the EPA DPF systems, right? Those are the things that are breaking down on these trucks. You can't idle your truck because of that. You know, if there was ever a Mad Max scenario, you couldn't have one of these trucks, right? It's right now, that's my biggest fear. And so these trucks rely on computers. These trucks rely on this DPF system. It relies on so many. It's been said that there's more sensors and more going on in the computers of these trucks than the space shuttle itself. Where did you take your truck up there in Springfield? I've not taken it anywhere yet. But it's going to be the normal 2 places I go to. There's only, well, there's 4 shops that I deal with in Springfield. A lot of the parts for all of our vehicles are anchored out in the ocean, still waiting to get unloaded right now. I believe that. Good evening, something. Jonathan Wheeler, what's up? After treatment is trash. I agree. This dude's either going to open his windows or start up his truck. Either way, I got to close my window. Starting up his truck. He's got the big pipes. No. Where are you, Steve? I have several $100s in meat and steaks in the freezer. I can give you Thomas. I'm in Springfield. I'm at a truck stop. I got to deliver in the morning, but I'm in Springfield. I agree with you, Butch. Pelerider's bad wheel seal. Pelerider is also mad at me. I don't blame him. Wheel seal. Oh, by the way, Ratman, if you're still watching, keep an eye on the wheel seals. Wheel seals on a new truck like to go out within the first 20,000 miles. Just keep an eye on that. Those kind of get deleted, but Palmer Kenworth has you sign a form. It's a $500K fine if they get caught working on a deleted truck for your manager. Deleting a truck is not a good idea. It might be tempting, but you're better off buying an old truck and fixing it up than deleting. I've been wearing face masks again because a lot of these shippers are wanting you to wear them now. Now, with that being said, I haven't paid for a mask in a long time. You know, they're happy to give me one for free. And I keep one in my side pocket. I wear cargo shorts or pants, and I have that side pocket, and I kind of whip it out like a holster. You going through Springfield on your way to Alabama? When are you going to be through, John? When are you going to be through here? This is a huge problem. We are no longer in a self-reliant country anymore, and the government is only making things worse. One of the reasons why we became a world power after World War II is because we had all these resources. But they can't get DPF filters. That could be a problem because mine's due to be cleaned or changed. I guess I'll have to get it cleaned. Yes, I have, Kenny. I'm in Ian MacArthur. I'm in Springfield till next Thursday. What are you doing here for so long? Are you stuck in a shop? I keep a mask in my pocket. It's not in everything. I'm very sanitary. Look, when you got one of these, really? But, you know, and what's ironic is most people telling you to wear a mask, they're not wearing them properly either. So it's you know what? Play the game, play the charade. When it comes to the Mad Max theory, we will just delete those trucks and not have to worry about the EPA and their stupid carb rules too. Yeah. What did Charles say that you agree with? No, yeah, the big problem in the country. Ian, where you at? We'll hang out sometime. I'm bidding on a load for tomorrow that delivers Monday. If I do that load, I might see what the short game's doing. If not, if it's not doing anything, because I'll be home for a couple of days under a load. But if there's nothing going on Monday, because it's tough to leave the spot market right now, especially with me being down a month and a half. It's tough to have to go back just a week later, 2 weeks later. And it's kind of bumming me out. And it's going to get financially difficult at this point. But, you know, we'll make it work. EPA is popping up all over. Kind of scary if you have a deleted truck. How many times do you have to fill your truck up with diesel every week? Well, it depends on how many miles I'm running. I get about anywhere between 6 to 7 miles to the gallon. So I probably average, I don't know, I probably average about, again, it depends. You know, I probably average about 300 gallons a week, if not higher. Just got notification, good deal. No, Eddie, there's, it was look, I blew a radiator hose and I had to put 4 gallons of water in this thing. And it was suggested to me to take the truck in, get the antifreeze changed out, and to have a hose party. I talked about that last night, but I forgot I took the video down, which is why Pale Rider's mad at me, by the way. And so I was going to get that done, but then the APU is an issue because I don't like idling my truck, and if there's DPF parts issues, I don't want to put more strain on the DPF by idling the truck. Manager says manufacturers are taking parts from dealers to factory to keep building trucks. Now that sucks. Gee, and what does that force people to do? To buy new trucks, right? Blue Beacon doesn't know how to wash trucks. They miss so much on my truck. Yes, Big Houston. I know all about the riffraff that washes our trucks. I think part of it's my tires, Thomas. It just depends. I'm always north of 6, but my IFTAs have been between 6.8 and 7.2. No, idling the truck does not drain the battery. In fact, it keeps batteries charged. The DPF systems, it puts a strain on that, which is that's why you don't see trucks with black smoke anymore. It's that stuff. So, these trucks are not built to idle. But also, when you idle a truck, you're going through a gallon to a gallon and a half of fuel an hour. And with fuel being about $3.30 a gallon, do the math. For a 10-hour break. Yeah, only if your alternator's not working. Better hit the truck salvage yard, pull the parts so you can. Just a heads up, do not take a load to Target in Galesburg, Michigan unless you have an appointment for live unload. Do not do any of the drop loads. they are 3 to 4 weeks behind on unloading drop trailers. Wow. Unbelievable. There's a trailer on I-44. I'm gonna go check it out. It looks old and crusty, but I was thinking about purchasing it. Kenny, so if you idle the truck, you've got the AC on. If you don't idle the truck, the APU has an AC. So it's like a little AC unit. So does that mean you're running power only right now, Chucky, or are you just SOL? I would be, if I was in that situation, and I've heard of people doing this online, you're cross-docking it. That's all there is to it. All right, Fester, I didn't really see you sneak in here, but have a good night. Yes, I would prefer Kmart over Walmart. Getting paid for trailer sitting, that's good. The best truck wash I've got was in Salina, Kansas. At the what do you call it? The Blue Beacon. John used to be a Kmart manager. That's funny. I used to work for a company and we'd go in and unbox and build bikes, grills, picnic tables, riding mowers, stuff for Kmart, Walmart, Lowe's. There was a small chain called Pamida, P-A-M-I-D-A, in these small towns. Those paid good. You get paid per piece. What's the average cost of a used but good condition dry van trailer? Right now, 5-year-old trailers are going for $20,000 and $25,000. 10-year-old trailers, you might get one under 15, but they've increased about 30%. My trailer new was 30 grand. Just a year later, it became 34, and I think the same trailer now is like 38. Hello, delivering to Maine tomorrow and heading home to Vermont for the weekend. Good deal, Steven. The last time I was in Maine was in Dryden, Maine. And then I forget what part of Maine, but I picked up canoes and brought them back here to Springfield. Team Tiny paid $35K for a 2018. That's $5,000 more than I paid for my 2018, but he probably got his used. Mike Miller, what's up? You didn't miss nothing. I run Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan on a dedicated run. Good site. I'm irritated with some brokers, right? Because there's these loads that I do all the time. And I call these brokers, I'm like, look, you have these every day. Let me be your guy, right? Let's agree on a price. And the price has got to be fairly good on the day rate so I can make it round trip. And it's not extraordinary. It's not beyond the 15 or 30 day averages. It's what I always do them for. But they will not commit because they want to get as cheap as possible. So they want to get the guys that don't know what they're doing. They want to get the guys that don't know how to negotiate. And it's very frustrating. I called a broker today looking for this particular load. I said, hey, do you got any of these? I noticed you post them on the dashboard, and I checked the app and they're gone. He's like, yeah, they're gone. I said, you got any coming up tomorrow? Nope, none at all. Well, could you call me? You know, I tried wheeling to deal with this guy. And so I get parked and I check the app and there's like 8 of them for tomorrow. I'm like, I'd be kidding me. I think the Iowa truck wash is a lot better. The Iowa and Truckomat in Joplin ain't bad. They missed a whole section of my trailer one time though. I didn't spot it until I got home. What happens if someone pops the seal at a truck stop? Depends on the customer. Yeah, companies are cutting every corner possible. Customer service is going down. Once I get back to the Midwest, I'm running the short game. Only going West Coast cost me money, but I got to see my dad and my nephew. Yeah, John, I mean, I understand why you go out west, you know, but once you can get a groove on in the same 8 states, you can make money and not put a whole lot of strain on yourself or your truck. That's kind of how I run. There were loads paying $4 grand to go up to Pennsylvania. Picking up tomorrow. And I actually contemplated that with the hours, but I don't have the hours. I'm on rollover hours, if you can believe that. Most truckers who crash are newbies who weren't really ready to be on the road on their own. Kenny, that is not true. Complacency will make you wreck too. I have a friend who's been driving 25 years and just had a wreck. And it was all his fault. Last week running short, I did 45 loaded and 355 all miles. Was that before your carrier's cut or after? Now, Thomas, if you're going to get a hotel, are you going to get a hotel? Probably not. You're going to go home, right? Say if you're going to get a hotel, get a cooler and cook all that meat. After, okay, that's good. What was the most expensive thing to repair on your truck? This truck, I don't know, every time I get repairs, it's like a laundry list, right? It's a bunch of stuff at once. So far on this truck, the biggest repair, one thing, was the clutch. But the biggest repair I've ever had to do was $10,000, and that was a new turbo on the other truck I had. Baron Pizza. Be right back. Pizza's here. There's something special about a pizza being delivered to your hotel room. Let it sit out. Don't even worry about refrigerating it for the next morning. It's awesome. It's also why I was 380 pounds. Most accidents are caused by a driver only looking 100 feet down the road. That is true, Bill. That's true. Look far, look wide. Leave yourself an out. Do you need the turbos, or can you have a motor without the turbos and still work fine but less power? No, you need the turbos. How else do you get 80,000 pounds out of off a hill? You have to have that turbo. And do not assume. That is true. Let's see. There was a guy that almost ran into me because he was like literally driving with his phone like this. He was like, had his hand on the steering wheel. He was doing this. You know, I was going down US 69 today in Oklahoma. And there was a couple of times where people almost got rear-ended because the truck wasn't paying attention on these traffic lights. Utah hills almost stopped me. I was doing 21 miles an hour. Some hills was super heavy though. John, I remember pulling salt out of Salt Lake City a few times. You know, you just kind of put it in 6th gear and enjoy the scenery. That's pretty much all you can do. And just when you think you can go up to 7th, no, you're better off just staying in 6th. You're not in a hurry. It's probably far different from the empty trailers you were hauling around, right? Most of the time when I went to Salt Lake City, I pulled plastic table and chairs from Lifetime out of Ogden and brought them back to the caves in Kansas City. Palerider's not showing up. That's how mad he is. He's not showing up. Call somebody out and they don't even show up. I swear. I'm not even paying attention to how many people we got in here. 36. Thomas, I'm going to call you after this. John, it's a joke. Palerider called me earlier today. He goes, what's your problem? Because I pulled my live feed down from last night. I explained why I pulled it down. And I thought I made it up to everybody by putting the red chicken video out. But no, some people are upset about that. And, you know, I get it. I'm awesome. I'm popular. And you don't want to miss any minute of my awesomeness. So if you miss out on a live feed, you feel like you miss out. I get it. That's sarcasm, by the way. Is your next truck a long hood? Maybe. There was a point last winter where I was looking at a 2005 W9. It was red. It was for $50,000. One owner truck. Just had a fresh rebuild. And the only reason why I didn't go look at it was because of the dealership that was selling it. I didn't want to deal with them. I just told him on Zello, but he's so mad he didn't respond. Probably. And it's not like I desire a W9, but I don't know. I really want, look, if someone handed me a blank check for a new truck, it would either be a Provost, like a Volvo like Provost's truck, or one of the new 680s. And the truck that Ratman got, that's pretty snazzy too. Hey Steve, crazy busy and a little depressed, but I will get back to you. Okay. Bob G, I get it, man. I get it. Life happens. It's no big deal. Pneumatic Brick, good evening. We'll say good morning. That's the Big Houston, you make a good point. That was the other reason, because I knew, because last winter we were still, is Biden really president, you know? So I thought, you know, I bet you anything the fuel's going to go up, because it usually does after an election. Without fail, no matter who wins the election, fuel gets really cheap before the election, and then it becomes expensive after the election. Doesn't matter if Republican or Democrat was voted in. Every single time. And so I knew fuel was going to go up, and it's like, that's a variable cost. That's you have no control over that other than, you know, fuel efficiency. You should get a long nose, Pete, because of you already have a Kenworth. I don't know, I'm more partial to Kenworth though. I like the look of a W9 over a 389. Tolga, what's up? I really like my truck today. I got 9.5 miles per gallon. Yeah, me and Provost, sorry, improper English. Provost and I were talking about that earlier, that the new 680s actually get the same, if not better, fuel mileage than his truck. And his truck is killer fuel mileage. And I know that Burger's truck is the same. So, Rick LP, what's up? Yeah, I had a light load from West Jefferson, Ohio to Joplin, no, Harrisonville. And then I grabbed a super light load. The last load I did, guys, this is awesome. I hauled 48, exactly 48 shopping carts from Walmart in Missouri to Oklahoma. And I got $300 over the 30-day average. I couldn't believe it. That's one of those home runs. We didn't even realize it. Because normally when you pick up old shopping carts, and what it is, this place in Wagner, Oklahoma, like refurbishes them. And when you go to their property, there's literally acres of shopping carts. And I used to pick up new ones there all the time when I was at Landstar, but I don't do those because they board the stuff down on the trailers, and I'm not having that with my trailer. But usually you go to 2 or 3 or 4 stores to pick up used ones, or if you go to one store, the whole box is full, right? No, this was just 48 and 2 shopping carts full of wheels, and it took them literally 5 minutes to unload me, but it took them 3 hours to get to me. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so the bill said 10,000, but there's no way it was 10,000 pounds. I know, Big Rig CO, but I had to get something off my chest about Palerider. Well, I knew you weren't going to go live, Big Rig CO. If you want to go live, I'll end this live feed right now. You get your brakes fixed yet? Real question, would the mile per gallon really affect you since you seem to run super local? Yes, it would. Because I noticed more money in my pocket when I went from the Peterbilt to this truck. I agree, Clydesdale, I agree. Switch, what's up? What are your thoughts on the 2022 Cascadia with the Mercedes-Benz digital dash screen and an infotainment system? It looks badass. Rick, if it's a Mercedes engine, that's probably a pretty cool deal, because Mercedes engines, I've heard, are the most reliable diesel engines out here. I have heard that some people say that all the instrument clusters and gadgets and stuff are a little bit more of a distraction. And I can understand that, like from when I drive 20-year-old vehicles, personal vehicles. And so when I got in the rental car, it was like, looked like I just got in a spaceship or something. And it took me a minute. They were definitely distractions. But once I got used to them, it was cool. You know, wow, the radio turns down when you slow down. You know, that kind of stuff. So, Bob G, quit taking your videos down. Eating supper. You were eating when I called you. I never get light loads. I got 47. But you're not paying for the fuel, so it doesn't matter. I did a load of shingles last week going to Cali. I used to do shingles all the time out of Dallas. And they usually went to Joplin. Have you played American Truck Simulator? No, but I have been on a truck simulator twice. Once at Crowder and once at Schneider. And then I've played the video game 18 Wheeler, which predates all that simulator stuff. John Stroud, hello from Florida. Yeah, the thumb mouse pad seemed like a distraction. What was the first company you went to? Transland out of Stratford, Missouri. That's the only company I've been a company driver for. I'm fat because I eat a lot. What'd you have for dinner? Does the truck simulator put you in a cab like an airplane? Yeah, you have these digital mirrors, you have a steering wheel. Well, like what Schneider did was they simulated a steer blowout, and you had to like approach it a certain way. And so the steering wheel would actually shake like if you just blew a steer. And the idea was to get you like close to feeling what it feels like, but I guarantee you that blowing a steer in a simulator is nowhere near the same as it is in real life, because you're not tilting. The truck doesn't tilt. So in the simulator. See, I'm fat because I wouldn't be fair to smart, funny, good looking, and fit. I would love to play it, Kenny, though unfortunately I couldn't find the time. I saw a Trucker's Coach show that he had the new dash screen on the Cascadia. It looks futuristic, and yes, it's from the current Mercedes-Benz. I haven't watched that video yet, but the new Peterbilt I think that Ratman just got also has a digital dash, and the new Kenworth has a digital dash. So that might be kind of cool, but it's more things to go wrong. It's more parts that will sit on a ship for 3 weeks that could break down potentially. Give that dude a carnivore update. Problem with all the digital dash, if you have a problem with the screen, you are down. You can't just replace the gauge and keep going. It's just another electrical component that can put you down. I agree. That's why it's almost appealing to have an older truck. I mean, older than this one. So you sit there like, well, these new trucks are fuel efficient, right? But when an older truck's going to get less fuel mileage going down the road. It's going to, but you can idle it. The new trucks can't idle very long. And you can idle 10-hour breaks or whatever, but where they've told me is where you have a problem is if you idle for 24 or 34 hours straight, and then you only do a 100-mile load, not a chance to burn everything off. That's where it becomes a problem. You do that over and over. And with me running short haul, that could be a potential problem. Luckily, I don't sit there with my truck running all the time. And you might save fuel money on a new truck, but by the time you get through all the DPF breakdowns and the DPF downtime and the DPF this and the DPF that, imagine the number's fairly even. Now, where it would be a double whammy is if you got a brand new non-fuel efficient truck. Then I'm hoping that you're specialized or you're making extra money hauling specialized freight at that point. No, it did not have backwind. This guy trucks, what is your opinion? I don't watch him, don't know anything about him. It's crazy though, physical gauges and buttons are becoming obsolete. It is what it is. Yeah, I agree, but look, there's a part of me that likes the digital stuff, but there's also the realistic part of me that goes, man, I don't have good luck with computers. I don't have good luck with printers. Now I've got like this $180,000 computer that I'm completely relying on. That's scary stuff. Alex Dulce, I've not been to that Joplin APU place, but if they're owned by the same APU center in Springfield, I will never step foot in there. Are you Little Guy Trucker's #1 fan? Look, I don't mind Little Guy. He's a good, you know, he's a showman. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And I've met him, I've hung out with him, and he loves the YouTube. He loves being famous. He loves the TV. He's the perfect, anybody who's watching that wants to cast somebody for a reality show, he's your guy. He doesn't start crap with anybody. He just kind of does what he does and everybody craps on him. He becomes the punching bag of YouTube. In my school it did, but when backing it was like a bird's eye view. Right. I got a digital dash in a car in 2018. Once I got used to it, it seems difficult to look at the old style. I can see that. These new trucks are for millennials. I think it's great if it's a company truck. Jacob, I kind of agree with you. I would love to have the latest, greatest and not have to worry about any of the repairs or fuel. Now, I wouldn't mind having a full maintenance lease, as long as the price was right, because then I'm not worried about the big breakdown. But apparently it's the small breakdowns that are taking people out now. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on the simulators at Snyder. Trying to decide if 12K is worth it for them, Thermal King Evo, or figure out how to set up my own generator and custom diamond plate box on the catwalk. Alex, I would look at the Carrier APU, or I would look at the green APU. Because the green APU uses a traditional small motor. It's still diesel powered, but apparently the parts and everything for it are pretty much standard stuff you can buy in any place. And it's Carrier and green APU are like a genuine generator. Thermal King's kind of set up different. I've had probably 10 trucks in my career, and 9 of them had Thermal Kings, and out of that 9 there was maybe 2 that I never had issues with, and that was the first generation APUs. And the Carrier's cheaper, by the way. Exactly, and thanks to this admin, they will get them too. What are we talking about? Oh, administration, okay. Turn on the TV? Nope, not turn on the TV. But yeah, the like the generator you find at the hardware store, that setup, that's very difficult. Unless you know how to custom fabricate. And then you gotta have an AC unit. which they're making those stand-up ones that like about the size of a stand-up radiator space heater. You just got to put a hose outside, I think. So that wouldn't be bad, but you're going to need a pretty strong generator to power that. Yes, lost. Well, it could be both. RN. I'm at 20 grand on this truck this year in maintenance and repair. 15 if you don't count the tires. Why don't you buy a reefer trailer? Do you like dry van better because it's less responsibility? No, it's not about responsibility. It's the fact that I don't know. I've never dealt with reefer freight. So if I'm going to own a business, why start a business is something I don't know anything about. Green is full generator. My company have them sitting if I want one. No owner operator had green. It seems like BO matter what issues, but no matter what, got issues, but gotta have it. Because of the shortage of trucks, shortage of parts, and the tremendous increase in cost for a new truck, I've backed away from that from now. I don't blame you, Triple T. I don't blame you at all. I agree with you, Chucky, on that. Stand-up AC units do have to be vented to be outside, right? We don't know yet. I think it's either the heat temp sensor or the capacitor. But I can't get the panel off the look because with the nut stripped out. And it needs a PM anyway, so I figure I'll just take them to the shop and have them deal with it. And I called them up and said, do I need to make an appointment? And they're like, no, it's first come, first serve, but if you bring it in Friday, you probably won't get the truck till Monday or Tuesday. So there's that too. So if I don't win this bid this load I've been on tomorrow, I'll probably take it in tomorrow. I'll get that done first and then get the go to Kenworth and get that taken care of. So I'm probably looking at being another week down. Yay. But your truck isn't new and covered under a warranty. My truck isn't under a warranty at all. Got 7,300 on my Thermo King with seasonal heater, blower replacement, and valve adjustments, holes in exhaust, etc. I've got 10,000 hours on my Carrier, and this is the first real issue I've ever had. Now, for a while, the AC would shut off when it was working too hard, but I figured out a way around that. I just don't have it trying to blast cold air in the middle of the day when it's 100 degrees outside. Now, the Thermo King does have a better AC comfort level than the Carrier does. I will admit that, but you put a fan in the back, you're fine. But 10,000 hours, knock on wood, and this is the first time I've had issues. Compared to the last Thermo King that tried to kill me, literally. So. I like physical gauges. Why do trucks have to be high-tech like cars? I think you should have a choice, right? Like, even if you buy a new big hooded Pete right now, you're getting the digital dash. Thomas Wilson, you are back. The poor man's APU Remy about $750, pain in the butt sometimes, but it freezes the sleeper for 10 hours on a gallon of gas. Well, that's good, Ryan. Look, there are different ways to do it, obviously. But what I like about the Carrier is it taps into the antifreeze and it keeps the engine block warm, which came in really handy this winter. This past winter when everything was shut down, my APU kept up. Now I had to run for 3 days straight at one point, but it's kept it did its job. If I had to buy a brand new APU tomorrow, it would be a Carrier and I would have no problem putting it on this truck. Just get a green APU, Steve, never again. Yeah, someone was asking what kind of APU to get, and I suggested either a Carrier or a green. Chucky's got the battery EPU. Nice. Carrier's too noisy. I've heard troubles with Carrier. Good to hear your opinion. How often is maintenance interval and service costs? They suggest every 2,500 hours, and it's about $380 for the oil change and belts and everything. Carriers are noisy. It's really weird when I try to sleep without the truck on or the Carrier on. It's very weird to me. But it's also kind of nice. Mr. Provost, I've talked about you in this live feed today. Twitch, it caught on fire. It was poorly installed by the APU Center in Stratford, Missouri. And it caught on fire. And had I not had a fire extinguisher handy, I would have lost the truck. If I had not been awake, I would have lost my life. And that's what clued me in. I was sitting there watching TV, hadn't fallen asleep yet, and power goes out. Well, that's weird. And then I smelled smoke. I just spent $1,400 yesterday replacing compressor and dryer and full PM on my tripod. That's about right. That's about right. The fact that I can download my ELD onto the infotainment system is great. I love it. Good or bad? It's always good, Provost. It's always good. Always good. Did Thomas Wilson tell you what's going on with this truck there, Mr. Provost? And the thing, I was going to buy Thomas Wilson's truck. They can't even find parts for it. The Thermal King Evos, they tend to have a lot of problems. Everybody I know that's had one has had issues. I know Big Rick Ceo's having an issue with his now. And Thermal King is pretty expensive. They once charged me $200 just to look at the thing that almost burned to death. And I put about $5,000 into that last Thermal King I had trying to revive it. And that's the thing. You have to buy a new APU. You can't go used. Because at the end of the day, you're going to buy a used one for $5,000, and at the end of the year, you're going to put another $5,000 into it because it just won't work right. I don't care what brand it is. I would not buy a used Carrier. I would not buy a used Green. I would definitely not buy a used Thermal King. You sell your truck, you sell the APU with it. You buy a new truck, you buy a new APU with it for it. That's it. And so many guys at Schneider Finance that had brand new trucks with brand new Thermal Kings, they had problems right out the back. And now, if any truck shop could work on them, that might be a different story. But no, you have to either take it to a Thermal King or a Carrier dealer. And that's where Thermal King does have better, is they have more options than the Carrier as far as dealerships go. And a lot of mom and pop APU repair places won't touch Carriers, so you're kind of stuck with it, but the Carrier has been reliable since day one. My warranty on my Carrier was, I think, 2 years or 2,500 hours. Maybe the increments are 1,500 hours on the oil changes. I don't know. Maybe pros can answer that, but 2,500 hours or 2 years, everything's covered. Biggest problem I had with the Carrier was from the aftermarket fuel filters. Get the factory parts. That is absolutely true. Thermal King seasonal problems, very temperamental. Warranty is only good with documented service at recommended intervals. Cost of PM is high. $12K for installing equipment. plus what, 300 to 1,000 for service. And okay, so here's the other thing. A carrier is an all-in-one. I had this truck for 3 years before I put an inverter in the truck. The carrier will run your power and will also run your own heat and your own AC. Now, the heat isn't great. So that additional cost for the Thermo King is coming from the inverter that you got to install and your bunk heater that coincides with the Thermo King. Whereas the carrier is just all in one unit, kind of like your hotel heat and air, right? Now, the problem that Thermo King has is that if you put a 3,000 watt inverter and you put a lot of draw on it, if you don't have the right size alternator on that Thermo King, you will go through alternators like crazy. This is again, it's not like I've never had a Thermo King. I've had 9 of them, okay? 9 of them. And so I know what works. The first Thermo King I ever had, I could be watching TV, sitting on my laptop, microwaving food all at the same time. And I had a 2,500 watt inverter. The last truck I had before I became an owner-op, I could barely make a pot of coffee off. I had to idle the truck because it was a 1,500 watt inverter. Or maybe it was 2,000. But the Thermo King couldn't keep up because it had the wrong size alternator in it. So if you go with the Thermo King, you want to get the biggest size alternator you can, and you're going to go through a lot of AC compressors. I went through 3 on my last Thermo King. I have not gone through 1 yet on the carrier in 4 years and 10,000 hours. My warranty was void because I installed it myself. At least I knew it was done properly. It says Provost, and that is true. Maintenance is the key for all the parts of any truck. It also depends on brands, folks. Just be serious on it. For PACCAR stuff, it does depend on parts. If you own a PACCAR engine, you're going to want your own fuel filters. You get them from the dealership. Because like even if you want TA to put on your fuel filters, you give them those fuel filters. Because they will put the wrong ones on. Most shops don't put the right PACCAR fuel filters on. Alright, Billy, you have a good night. Pure sine wave 3,000 watt inverter aftermarket add-on. Alternator size is the biggest issue for Thermo King. You're dead on with your inside experience. We'll seriously look into carrier. Now the green APU supposedly has more power than even the carrier does, but the carrier's got more power. The carrier will power more stuff than a Thermo King will. Because I didn't even have an inverter in this truck for the first 3 years I had it. I didn't have it, and I still don't have a bunk heater. That's why I have so many hours, because if I'm watching TV, I have the APU on, which, well, let me rephrase that. When I go to bed at night, whether I need heat or air, anyways, I've got the APU running because the battery monitor keeps it from shutting everything off, so I don't lose my food if I get below a certain voltage. And that's going to be my biggest worry until my APU gets fixed. So, like, if I decide to go somewhere and I have a fridge full of meat and a cooler full of food, and I decide to go somewhere for 10 hours and not be in the truck, when I come back, all my 12-volt stuff will be turned off, and it'll do that even with new batteries. And so, because it does that to protect itself. So, with the APU set at a certain wattage, I never have to worry about that 12-volt stuff shutting off. So there's been times when I've been home, and I can leave food in the refrigerator here and not worry about it shutting off. Everything you just said sounded like operator error. Whatever. Carrier is an 8K generator. Yes. And that's the thing with these APUs. They're expensive. And the green's not much cheaper. But if you go with the gas generator route, then you got to keep the extra gas. Then you got to find a way to secure it to the truck. and then you got to get out and turn it on, and then you have to have an additional AC unit. Now you can have a space heater in a truck with the generator. I keep a space heater in the truck that's connected to my carrier, so it works better than the carrier's heat. I run AIMS 3000 watt pure sine wave 300% surge on my 9000 peak. Can't beat it. $1,200. Mine is a 2000, I think. I'll have to look. I've yet to really tap into it. I haven't tried to use my microwave with it, and I haven't tried to see if I can make a pot of coffee with it, but with the truck running, of course. But I've never ever drove a truck in my career other than CDL school truck without an APU. When I went to Transland, I was one of the first trucks on the fleet to have the new Thermo King APUs that just came out back in 2008. And I was spoiled with it. That one and the one that I had in my Kenworth were really good. Now, the Peterbilt was the first time I lived without an APU, especially after it tried to kill me. Yeah, that's the other thing. You got to get the right wire that goes from the inverter to the batteries and the alternators. You have to do that. And if you put an inverter in a truck, you need to get it professionally installed. I had Carrier put mine in. I got the inverter for free, but I had it professionally installed and got the higher gauge wire. Want a pure sine wave to save a custom case PC from power surge, dirty power that will fry internals, best for consistent power supply. I have a lot of stuff living full-time in trucks for 5 years now. That is true. Love the Carrier, can let the truck sit for a month and it keeps the battery charged. Absolutely right. That's why I need to get this APU fixed. That noise. Oh, train. But yeah, like Provo said, if this truck completely blows up and I have to buy a new truck, the second place I'm going to go is Carrier to put a new Carrier on it. Although the green APU does create a pretty good argument. I will say that. But it's hard to judge with the display that I watched for about 20 minutes at Matt's. Thomas Wilson, do you have the green yet? Did you ever get that installed? Because what I want is, before I would decide on a green, I would want to see what other people are saying about it, right? I would want the history. What Carrier shop did you go to for install purchase? I ask only to have a better shop at proper install and service. Springfield, Missouri, right next to Kenworth. They're one of the top ones in the nation. Mine is custom, it's ordered. It's ordered, okay. Well, Thomas, I plan on staying in this truck for at least another year, so, you can give me the performance and the issues that may or may not arise. And you can tell me what you're able to accomplish with it. I would be very happy to hear that. And what'd you pay for it? One of the negative things of the Carriers, if you have the AC on high, it's very noisy. And it's tough to get a straight answer from anybody in these Facebook groups about alternative APU places or brands. I know that, oh, what's that one called that Prime uses sometimes? Rigmaster, I know that those are, I don't have anybody that has a good review of those. Dynasys, same thing. PaleriderTV will get over. Obviously not. He's not even in here, Jeff. I'm using the same Kenworth alternator, plus I'm having a whisper quiet muffler put on the side from a Onan generator. Okay. Yeah, and see, there's a guy, so Dale's APU in Springfield, if you have to buy a used APU from anybody, it'll be him, not the other place, okay? He was able to resurrect my APU from the Peterbilt to a certain extent. By the time we got it right, I sold the truck. So, but what he does is he buys all the Rigmasters that come off the Prime trucks and he refurbishes them. That's what he does. And he also deals with, I don't know if he deals with Dynasys or not, but he does not like working on Carriers. So I ran into him not too long ago and he's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I said, yeah, I got a Carrier. He's like, oh, okay. This is good news. Okay. Remember, I have full shirts. I have no idea what you're talking about. In case I'm having them, spray liner on it. I saw a Carrier today that was all chromed out. It looked pretty sweet. It was all stainless. Side skirt, Steve. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I see what you're saying now, yeah. I know that was an issue with Provost's Volvo, and I think that was an issue when, I believe Steve Berger put a Carrier on his Volvo, and he had to actually move stuff around to get it on there. Yeah, if you guys notice the CFI trucks, the CFI T680s, they're short wheelbase, shorter than mine. I don't think you can get an APU on those trucks. No, yours is hidden. Alex, if you want to take the time and the expense to do that, if it'll protect it from rust, that's good. Because there's a lot of rust that's popping up on my chassis and frame. And that's why, even if you're not a pride in your ride kind of guy, it's important to wash your truck, especially in the winter, to get the salt off. Because not only does the salt get on the metal, but it gets on your plastic and wires and stuff too. And it's very important to get that stuff off because that chemical. So I generally wash my truck about once or twice a quarter. Only because I would wash it more often, but it seems like when I wash my truck, it rains the next day. So a lot of times I'll wash my truck on a Friday, and then if I don't go out till Monday or Tuesday, then I've at least had 4 days of the truck looking good. I need to get my rear wheels polished. Alex, I'm having body shop repaint frame. Well, Thomas, you need to come to Springfield and polish my rear wheels. They're pretty bad. My front wheels were so beat up, I bought new ones. So the truck looks kind of mismatched right now. Dirty truck, filthy rear wheels, bright and shiny polished front wheels. I heard something about that. I've been meaning to talk to you, Thomas. Considering dumping 30 to 40K, I'm building up my 97. Disc brakes, maybe repaint. Hey, if that keeps your truck running and you got the money, then more power to you. As long as you can find parts. Like I said, a 97. That's what I went to CDL school with, was a 97 Freightliner FLD. There's a lot of room in that truck. Shadow Wolf, what's up, man? How's it going? How's it going? Now, for a while, APUs were struggling for sales when fuel got really cheap. But again, these new DPF trucks don't like idling. So I think it's important to have an APU that cycles the coolant as well. Keeps the engine block warm and cycles the coolant. That's the important part. That's the only thing I don't like about the electric EPUs. They don't really do that. Many moons ago, I did tank and rim polishing at the truck stop in Springfield, just down the street from the IWX terminal. Really, Twitch? Too bad you're not doing it today. One day, Steve, you should call me and three-way Mr. Provost. The Freightliner EPU heats the coolant. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's good to know. We should do that, Thomas. We should. I have a drill with polishing wheels. I do mine on in minutes. Mine need a professional, like, full-blown blasting, because I've never polished them since I've had this truck. And then after that, it's just maintaining. But you know, I'm too busy being on YouTube trying to be an egotistical YouTube star. I don't have time to polish wheels. My IPU is self-contained when it comes to cooling. It doesn't share cooler with the truck. The advantage to that is if you bust a line, like I've busted, so the Peterbilt, right? One of the things that APU Center did wrong on my Peterbilt was that they did not put shutoff valves for the coolant hose, because it shares the coolant with the truck. Okay. One time with my Thermal King at a company job, if I hit a bump, I lost coolant, and it was coming from the hose that goes directly into the Thermal King. So there's a shutoff valve. I was able to shut it off, and so it didn't drain the coolant in the engine. And so I couldn't run the APU at that point, but it at least got me down the road. But the first time that happened in my Peterbilt, I looked for the shutoff valve and there wasn't one. And I was so mad because all my coolant drained. I was in Pryor, Oklahoma, middle of summer, and the Underwood had to come. I don't know if they're related to Carrie Underwood or not, but they came and fixed it. Cost me like $400. I'm gonna polish one of my wheels and then I have to get them done. I had three less one less that I have to do. See, Twitch, I have no idea what you just said. I have no idea. That's my level of knowledge on polishing. I would be like James Best and hire homeless to do the polishing. I thought about putting a bunk heater in here so I wouldn't have to run the APU at night. But I run the APU because of my CPAP. You still remember that story? Which one? I had a brain fart. Oh, the homeless, yeah. That was a funny story. But, you know, maybe we'll take a load to Dallas. I know exactly where those people are. Oh, the polish, yeah. That is a good story. And that was the joke for the whole weekend for Gats. It was like, you know, every now and then I've had like people begging me for money, but they said they would polish my wheels for me. And this was like, I think one time I was approached in Cuba, Missouri. I don't know, the guy had a rag and a bottle. I don't think he could have done anything to my wheels. You just pretend you're a fighter pilot with that CPAP. Yep, and I play Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone while I do that, Thomas. My APU kicks out ice cubes. It's so cold. Sometimes I got to turn the bunk heater on to warm it up a little. In fact, look, I've said this earlier. Thermal Kings do beat the Carrier on the coolness of the AC, which is probably why their AC compressors go out a lot more. Because it's all, yeah, a Thermal King will freeze you out. This Flying J is full. Man, we've been over an hour. You guys are still kicking it. 26 people? Yeah, I know. I heard James Best talking about that, Thomas. It's got more BTUs than the Carrier. Like I said, I want to see performance evaluations on the green APU for dependability, for longevity. You know, you can have a strong engine and a strong car, but what good's that strong car if it won't last but a year? And how easy is it to get worked on? Yes, you should, Chucky. You don't want to wait till September to find out that your bunk heater doesn't work. I guess Pale Rider's so mad he's not even coming in here. Anyways, guys, if you got nothing else, we'll end this feed. This has gone way too long. And if I take it down, Pale Rider's going to lose it. So... Hey, I can hook up the Mafia to do those rims. They will take them off, put them on a machine, sand them, and all that good stuff. Hunk, I can get you a discount. Well, that's cool. It's a joke, Provost. He called me earlier wondering why I took the live feed down from last night. So I figured it'd be make a good funny title because I went live tonight. Pale Rider's not mad. It's a joke. See, here's the problem. Pale Rider was supposed to come in here and then we would fake being mad at each other and then have a good laugh. But he's not in here now. All right, Alex, you have a good day. Or good evening, I guess. Clickbait? Not quite. He did call me today. He was irritated that I took down my live feed last night, right in the middle of him watching it. Alright, you almost made me spit water. I've left every live feed I've put up, except for last night, in the last month. So ZZ Top last Friday in Tuscaloosa, first show post Dusty Hill fixing to order a Telecaster. Those guys were as tight as humanly possible. Ryan, I heard about that and I saw some footage from that gig. The pictures I saw, they had his hat on his microphone stand. And it's the roadie that filled in for him, who's filled in for him before. I guess he's been struggling with his health for a while. And yeah, he's on it. ZZ Top, I mean, they've been around, what, 50 years? You can't, and never had a lineup change. And you can't, I imagine writing music for those guys is just effortless. Well, I'm going to fly home, put motor coach in the shop for service. I just might call you one day soon in Springfield. Come meet me and my wife. I cook dinner. Carbolicious. Yeah, if you're home, Thomas, I might get a load to your neck of the woods. Have you ever thought about making your reruns of your live feeds for subscribers only instead of deleting them? RN, the reason why, if I delete a live feed, it's because, you know, Google censors so much stuff, and when you say keywords about political climates or presidential climates or the thing that we have to put masks on for, you know, that thing, or if I mention tools, if, you know, wink wink, if there's a little bit too much of that, I don't want Google to kill my analytics, so that's why I take those live feeds down. There are a lot of people that don't like it when I talk about that stuff. There are a lot of people that don't like when because, you know, look, sometimes these live streams are a distraction from what's really going on in our country today. And so when I get a little bit too doom laden and a little bit too controversial, I'll take those live feeds down. So yeah, the membership thing wouldn't work. Where I would do a membership thing would be for guitar live feeds, which I don't even know if I would do that. I have no problem with other people doing memberships or Patreon, but I feel that my content is not worth anything to pay for. That's not me down on myself. I'm just telling you my experiences as they happen. Like, my knowledge about Thermal Kings comes from experience. My knowledge about loads in this area comes from experience. My knowledge about running a business is based off of my experience and the people I surround myself with. So I don't, now people super chat me, that's great. People give me cash apps, that's great, and I appreciate that. But I can't genuinely charge somebody something unless I can give them something in return, like a coffee mug or a t-shirt with the logo on, but I can't even get a logo made. So I don't know when that's going to happen. So that's why, like I said, I don't, would it be cool to make money off of YouTube? And I do. 90% of it comes from Thomas Wilson, and it's a nice addition, you know. But I also feel bad. Like, people ask for donations, and I feel bad about doing something like that because I'm not hurting, number one. But number two, there are so many people struggling right now that, and I'm not, that Thomas, I feel guilty about taking money. And look at Thomas right there. I gotta get the Venmo app so you don't have to give $30 to Google, but I appreciate that, Thomas Wilson. Thank you very much. I-69 Fremont has hat shop. Yeah, but hats are expensive to make if you don't use a third-party service. Trust me. To get my logo put on a hat at the Joplin Petro is like $30. So I don't see ever charging someone, because I would have to make a profit too. So I don't see ever like charging $40 for a hat. That's just crazy. I appreciate that, Bob. Brian Palladio, the Lady Death comic book artist, is a big metalhead asking for a referral. Look, I know really famous artists, and there is only one artist that we said, hey, we need something from you. We paid him to do it, and he did it. Only one that actually came through with what I needed him to do, and that was the guy that did the album cover for Apnea's last album. A guy named Carl Dahmer. And his artwork, I don't think, would make the logo that I would need. You know, but that gives me, maybe I'll contact him. Thomas, what are you doing? Stop it. Thank you, Thomas. We call it channel sport. And I appreciate that. That's going to help. That's going to help. Because even though I'm not struggling, I'm not like winning at life either. So, and the truck's getting ready to cost me money. I try to give as good as information as I possibly can. Just give me a heads up so I could make it home. What are you talking about? Oh, talking about campsites. Oh, you're talking Charles about meeting you and your wife. But I'm extremely grateful for the people that are in here. I'm extremely grateful for Thomas Wilson, who's just showering me with gifts. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. That's crazy. You're gonna make me cry, Thomas. Is that your goal, is to make me cry? No, I really do. I appreciate it. I feel weird when people give me money. I try to put decent information out. There's somebody that's been commenting on my videos that doesn't comment on every video, but he seems annoyed with me, and I'm not sure why. Maybe, you know, I don't know. There's I can't watch my own live feeds because I kind of hate myself during these live feeds, but what I need to do is get in the habit of cutting these up and putting out the snippets, the golden nuggets, taking out all the filler, right? Yeah, you are missing a lot, nothing witty. No, we don't need a war going on. Provost does a lot for me already. That's what I mean about surrounding yourself with good people. So you should have seen what him and Provost did for Pale Rider. Maybe I'll do an exclusive guitar live feed just for Thomas Wilson. Thomas Wilson, I'm gonna make you happy, okay? You ready for this? The drummer of the band and I talked. a couple of days ago. And we're going to take, we're, you know, and my wife's on board with this. And we're going to start making music again. That's going to happen. I figure if the world's going to end, we might as well have a distraction, right? If I wasn't quitting my job over principles and going trucking, I'd send some cash. Look, nobody needs to send me cash. I appreciate that, RN. TJ Jones, you missed a lot. Is it going to be a Jimmy Nwat? I have no idea what that means. And it's not going to be the full-on death metal that you guys know Apnea from. It's going to be kind of a Sabbathy, power chordy, groovy kind of thing. It's not going to be death metal at all. So, and hopefully we'll get some recordings done. I was telling our drummer that I have a platform now versus, you know, my YouTube and Apnea really wasn't, I mean, I started to do less Apnea when I got into YouTube. So it's been kind of, they haven't really crossed. Now, if you go to my old channel, you can see some old footage from Apnea playing. And I do have some videos that I need to digitalize, and some of that'll hit the channel from old gigs. But I also know that death metal's not everybody's cup of tea, and it might even sound strange to people that aren't used to it at all. But the music that we're writing, or going to be writing, is not going to be that way at all. Well, Thomas, you're awesome. 25 on here. I would be happy with some thumbs up. And we got 23 out of 25 thumbs up, so that's good. Loaded Trucker, nice, thank you. Your winning personality makes your videos great. Thank you. That's very strange, but thank you. I think the Whool likes to call me the Eeyore of the trucking YouTubers. All's well here, no complaints. I could very well find things to complain about, but I shouldn't. Everything's good. Everything's good. So I appreciate that, Loaded Trucker. Thank you very much. Starting to look like a Timcast live feed in here. Yeah, I'm still live, John. The fans have spoken. I mean, they're throwing money at the situation. I don't know where the Whool is. It's probably like 3 in the morning where he's at. We had a good talk about APUs. We had a good talk about some trucks. We talked about the issue that Thomas... See, that's the generosity of Thomas Wilson. His truck's in the shop. He's not going to be able to work for 3 weeks. And look what he's doing. I've helped you get down the road. Well, good. That's the beauty. That's the good. Look, live feeds have a negative side and a positive side. Once you say something in a live feed, you can't take it back, right? Even if you delete the video, okay? But you can interact with the subscribers. You could be completely off the cuff. You have to be comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with the camera, which I am. I have no problem performing for people. I have no problem with public speaking. I have, you know, and I'm honest, so I don't really have anything to hide. So I'm not like putting on an act. People that have talked to me personally, this is what you get, except I curse more. That's about it. I don't curse a whole lot on YouTube. It just, I want to have a channel that my kids can watch after I die and say, that was my dad, he was a cool dude. I have to go into the studio in October with Harvest of Lions. After like 6 years of not playing every day, it's quite a chore to get back to shape. What do you play, Ryan? John, I hope you're doing good with the spot market. Harvest of Lions. I'm gonna look that up. That's an interesting name. Is that you on Facebook, Ryan? Is that you guys? That's right. Great information tonight. Thank you, brother. The scribe, thank you very much. I didn't realize you were even in here. Thank you. Kirby Dragons. Orion rules. Orion's been a big supporter of my musical endeavors. I agree, Thomas, and that'll be my next goal. There's supposed to be a person in Springfield that can help me out, but I haven't like really dug into that yet. Paid for by Target holding my trailers. GNC. Chucky, thank you very much. Guitar, I think you had checked our video out on YouTube, but we made in a practice room. Okay. I have a horrible memory, Ryan. But is that your Facebook page, right? This isn't my phone that I get on Facebook with, so it didn't tell me if I was already following you guys or not. I was just about to send a super chat, but I don't want to give 1/3 of it to Google. I will buy you dinner next time we meet up. Thank you, Nothing Witty. We have 2 videos on YouTube. It's Louisiana Metal, like a gumbo, everything in it. Ryan, I used to be in a band called Cyanide Rainbow. And that's kind of what we did. We had death metal songs, we had thrash metal songs, we had doom metal songs, we had songs that had funk in it. We had a drummer that was influenced from everything from Slayer to Nirvana. Same thing with the other guitar player. And then the bass player was influenced a lot by like Primus and stuff like that. Plus death metal. And then there was me. I was the aggressive, angry one. I was difficult to be in a band with back in those days. I was not the easiest band leader. I was kind of an a-hole. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm on Facebook then for you. But I appreciate the super chat, guys. You guys are freaking awesome. Yeah, I appreciate Louisiana Metal, because like you had Crowbar from your area, and I believe Exhorter. Wasn't Exhorter from your area too? And Exhorter kind of took a different turn. Their first album's kind of thrashy death metal, but then their second album was, I don't know, pretty thrashy, but they were, I think the singer started another band, I can't remember the name of it. But then that was kind of more of a bluesy kind of thing, like a COC kind of thing. Yeah, I have a Cash App. It's there it is. My crypto portfolio is flying. John, so what I've done is I've downloaded the Webull app, but I haven't connected or made an account yet, because Robinhood I can't do much crypto except for Dogecoin, and Dogecoin is, right, it's time, it's over. It's on life support. And since you gotta love Google and you gotta love YouTube, since I've kind of researched these things, now my Yahoo News is all finance stuff. Now I get news from Robinhood, I get news from Google, finance stuff. And that's what primarily what Provost and I talk about, because I would like to make some money in that field. I want to dabble a little bit in the silver, and I want to dabble a little bit in the stocks, and I want to dabble a little bit in other forms of making money off of the internet. I want multiple streams of income, because eventually I'm not going to be in this thing forever. Today I've learned how I can turn a classic guitar to a banjo. You have to put just a balloon in the sound void and voila, you have a banjo, LOL. That's crazy. Dogecoin belongs to just Elon's words, so not surprised. That's pretty much it. I mean, he literally, look, any guy that can manipulate a market with just what he says, that's power. Too much power, in my opinion. And by being observant, a friend of mine, he can mention if he's still in here, that he told me, but he told me to look at a stock that had to do with diabetes and how to treat it. And I thought, so I put two and two together with all my health knowledge I've acquired this year. That's probably a pretty safe stock to bet. And then him knowing some of the news of what was coming up with this particular company, I bought into it and I've already made money. So sometimes being observant, well, let me rephrase that. Any time that you can be observant, whether it's in trucking, whether it's in the stock game, whether it's in world affairs, it's to your advantage. If you're going to do some panic buying, do it before the panic buying starts. Like, you know, we used to make fun of all the people that, well, not make fun, but we would be like, why would you buy a whole pallet of ammo? Now we understand. Right? Now we understand. So, same thing with, you know, if you ask anybody, like, there are people that live out in the remote woods that go to Walmart or Sam's Club like once a month. They do all their shopping. When all the pandemic shortages happened, they weren't worried because this is just another day for them. But by being observant, we got ahead of the curve on a lot of the panic buying, and we bought our stuff before it was out, before it was gone. And we're about to do that again. And so I thought, why couldn't I use those same skills in the stock market? So the few things that I've dabbled, you know, and by dabbling, I'm talking like 25 bucks, right? As I gain confidence. And then Provost told me that you can do fake money and really learn how to make things happen without risking your own cash. And so Webull allows that, and I haven't started the account yet, but I have downloaded the app because it also does a lot of the cryptocurrencies that are currently making people money. That's not Dogecoin. Floodgate, that's it, yes. You're like, what? Send all your extra money to Jeff. I'm sure he'll take care of it. Your best bet is to get on Bitmart and throw $5 at everything and wait to see what hits at this point, and watch Reddit and see if anyone hammering on a particular occurrence. That is true, Orion. I believe that's good information. If people knew what I turned $10,000 worth of Safe Moon into a few months ago, you would understand why I do this kind of stuff. I have zero worries other than dealing with hateful, spiteful family. Copper is also having some opportunities to invest in, but OFC, you can't stock it as physical thing because it's going to hold too much space. Investing in some copper producers looks like logical to me. It's personal idea. That's a good point. Invest in lead. I've already done that, Dragons. Not whole pallets yet, but that's getting ready to happen some more. I'm going to be buying a hunting tool, like legitimate deer hunting tool, pretty soon, and the ammo for it. So that's my next hobby. But, you know, but being observant, knowing when to move before everybody else does because of things that you've seen, right? And I've been an owner operator for a while now, and I've been in 3 different down markets. And I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who's coming into the spot market, and he said, how do I know when it's a good time and when it's a bad time? I said, you know, what happens if this hits a wall? And I said, look, even if the market drops tomorrow to 0, and we're all back to $1.20 a mile, which I don't see it ever going that low again, but just in case, you got to think worst case scenario. What happened on the other side of that? We're in it now. The thing about the market is that whether it's stock or spot, it always changes. If it's really good, it's going to change. If it's really bad, it's going to change. So if you're going through a good time, know that it's not going to last, prepare. If it's bad, know that it's not going to be forever, and prepare. And there's a lot of there's a lot of corporations that were able to utilize and exploit the system because of the bid, and they've become stronger because of it. But there's been a lot of small mom and pop businesses that were able to pivot and change a few things around and survive. And if anything, it taught them, okay, we need an online presence. We need a curbside pickup ability. We need to be able to market better online since we can't rely on anybody coming to the physical store. And so, if anything, a down market or a tough time should make you stronger, should make you more knowledgeable. Hey, Steve, what happens if $1.20 is the norm? Well, I've been through that before, so here's what I did. Here's what I'm doing, and here's what I will do. And that's it. You know, well, Steve, you got a paid off truck, so you're not worried. My paid off truck has cost me more than a new truck would have this year. So, just because you have a paid off truck doesn't mean you got the golden goose, okay? Is it nice? Definitely, but I'm still struggling with the same things you all do, except I just don't have a truck payment on top of my repairs. That's where it kills you. If you got a new truck, make sure you got the warranty. The money in the bank for the stuff that's not covered under warranty. If you have a used truck, make sure your payments are low enough that you can make the repair payments. And then if you have no truck payment, make sure you're putting a truck payment's worth of money back, because you will have the repairs. I'm bearish on the market. I've got my TSP and treasures. You cast your own? I don't know if I would have the patience to do that. And be willing to learn. That's the thing. You can't. I'm going to give you an example. Okay? Let's take trucking. You got two owner-operators. Okay? One has a dedicated gig going from St. Louis to Dallas, Texas. Okay? This is hypothetical. I don't know anybody that really does that. And then you got another guy that has a dedicated run that goes from Kansas City to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Okay? They got the exact same trucks, the exact same bills. They make the exact same percentage off their carriers. But their businesses are still going to differ in expenses. And here's why. The truck going to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, his loads are 30,000 pounds. Not too heavy, not too light. He loses fuel mileage in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and he has to run 76. So that's about $200 or about $180 in tolls both ways. But for the most part, he gets to go through Illinois and Indiana on a flat surface, so he makes up for fuel mileage in those states. Other than the wear and tear on the roads in Indiana, he does okay. The guy going from St. Louis to Dallas, he's going to go through more shocks. He's going to go through more tires. He's going to go through more parts. And why is that? Because to get from St. Louis to Dallas, you got to go down US 69. I was thinking about this today because I was on US 69 today. So that dedicated route is going to beat the literal crap out of your truck. Just like if you had a dedicated route up in Michigan, or if you run Michigan a lot. And this is not insulting to anybody or any, they're all crap, right? And so their costs are going to be different. And so there's no one size fits all when it comes to the business of trucking. You know, how do you market your loads? Where do you get your loads? Are you getting dedicated runs? Are you getting spot market runs? Are you combining both? Do you make 80%? Do you make 85%? Do you have your own authority to make 100%? You know, I mean, you have all these different factors. And so you have people out here, both on and off YouTube, that are set in their ways. There's no way that you do running your business that way is right. It's wrong because I don't understand it. You have a platform that I don't understand, that I don't like, or that's different, or you have better advantages than me, so it's not fair. Business has never been fair. Life is not fair, right? So you can't sit there like, well, so-and-so's got other investments, and so he doesn't need to run 3,000 miles a week. Okay, well, get off your privileged high horse and make that situation yourself, right? So there's 1,000 ways to do this, and not one person's right and not one person's wrong. It all just depends. And so the ability to pivot when the market changes. If I have to start doing long haul, I can do it. I have experience with that. If I have to do super short because something's going on at home, I know how to do that. Will it be more work? Yes. Will it take more patience? Yes. So if I'm having trouble with that, I need to work on getting more patience. I have to work on booking ahead. I have to work on making sure, or finding the broker that has a lot of this stuff in the area. But then when I want to go long haul, I'm going to be looking at different markets. I'm going to be looking at different strategies. You know, is a $5,000 load to Washington better than a $5,000 load going to New Hampshire? Which is better? What's going to be a better market? And I have the ability to figure that out. And that's the most important part. You have to be able to learn and fight when you need to, And so when your back is against the wall, then you know how to perform. And so complacency and laziness comes in, and I've been guilty of that. I told you I'm honest. The first 2 years of me being in the spot market, I did not capitalize on the good markets at all, and it almost cost me my business. It almost cost me my contract with Jeffrey Light. But you guys didn't know that, did you? But I persevered, got, with the help of some friends and a good broker, I nipped it, I got back on it. And my goal in my business is consistency. And that's something I was being told about the stock market, is consistency. It's about profit and consistency, not swinging for the fences and hope something sticks. You gotta stop coming. So, the ability to react well, the ability to keep calm, and the ability to pivot when you need to, that is what's going to keep you, well, alive, but also alive in business. And while you can't prepare for everything that life can blindside you with, I could have a heart attack tonight. There's no what if for that. But I'm confident that my wife can handle it if that happened, because we've talked about it. So that's the most important part. And so when you look at all the YouTube experts, look at the one that's successful. Look at the ones that are successful. Look at the ones that have been doing it a while. And look at the ones that have had the most experience and are successful in your eyes. And why are they successful in your eyes? Well, is it because they have 15 trucks? It's because they've been doing this for 30 years and they do very well. It's because they're out of the truck and they're able to work and not have to be in the truck anymore. I mean, what is it that attracts you to that person? And that's the important part. The only thing I can offer you is the experience that I've had being in a choose your own freight market for the last 8 years. And the markets that I've seen, and the evolution of the trucks and the de-evolution of the drivers. Everybody I know that has a carrier that wants to bring on drivers is struggling to find good drivers. Every single person is struggling to find drivers. So if you've got a clean CDL and you know what the hell you're doing, you are as good as gold out here. Absolutely, we can also think on the same way for every parts of the life, actually, in social or business. Having some rules and red lines, but for sure it depends on decisions via participants again. See, to me, this is what the golden nugget is in my live feeds. And my crowd has gone down, which is fine. One of the most important things that I had to learn is what's the difference between pleasure and happiness. Pleasure is dopamine, and happiness is serotonin. Now, what does that mean to you? You can do things that are pleasurable, like a good meal or a good drink or, whatever. But it's short-lived. It's a rush. True happiness comes from contentment. And how many of you people here in this live feed are content? Now, you can be content and still have goals. You can be content and not be too complacent. I'm talking about like my wife and I, we are content with each other. We complete each other. And that creates happiness. I look back at the things that I've done with the band, with my business, and I'm fairly proud of them. Because I know people that made twice as much money as me in the spot market that are no longer in business right now. Burning the candle at both ends. And it's the hare and tortoise race. And there was a time in my life where I figured out that 90% of what we all argue about on the internet, in person, doesn't even matter at the end of the day. It won't make you richer. It won't make you better. It won't make life more fair. It won't make your business survive or not survive. The arguments just don't matter. That's it. They just don't matter. And so, if you're content with your life, if you're happy doing what you're doing, more likely you're not screwing with other people. More likely you're not taking advantage of other people. More likely you're not getting in a war with somebody. You're not attacking somebody. Live and let live. And it's, you know, and again, sometimes it's human nature. You see someone else doing better than you, you want to tear them down. Well, why would you want to tear someone down? Well, only because of your own discontentment. Only because of your own misery. And in order to succeed in life, you have to find your darkness and what creates that. Where does your darkness lead you? Once you can solve that riddle, find your pain and work to better that pain, and you'll be better. You throw some seriously good vibes, dude. Just saying, I couldn't troll you if I wanted to. Well, thanks, Dragons. I appreciate that. It is turning into James S. Live feed, Donnie Luke. Are you planning on buying a new vehicle you really want? Kenny, here's the deal. Are you talking about, if you're talking about a semi-truck, it would depend. Okay, it would depend on the situation. It would depend on what's going on. It depends on what my goals are. When it comes to personal vehicle, when the pandemic happened last year and rates sank, I was very thankful that I wasn't worried about a car payment. Now, we just bought a car. My wife just bought a car. We paid cash for it. We didn't put it on payments. And if we did, it only would have been the tune of like a couple of grand. But I couldn't talk my wife into getting that car. So, you know, whatever. But by not having those car payments, made the stress a little bit easier to deal with. By having money in the bank, made the stress easier to deal with when the whole world seemed like it was going to end. I don't have any car notes, beast mode. The only thing I have a payment on per month, vehicle-wise, is the box behind me. The Kenworth's paid off, my pickup's paid off, our SUV's paid off, and my wife's car is paid off. but we have good credit. There's a balance. Cash and credit as a team. No, I would not. Even if I was rich, I wouldn't buy a $120,000 Escalade. There was a time where I was more interested in the short term. There was a time where I couldn't get over my depression. There was a time where I couldn't get over my anger, and it came out in negative ways. There was a time where I wasn't the cool person to hang out with. Not that I am now, but I definitely wasn't. When I was the band leader at Cyanide Rainbow, I drove everybody away because I was an asshole. I didn't know how to manage people. I didn't know how to understand people. All it was about my music and my angry self that couldn't handle the realities of life and the addiction to playing out live. If you were rich, what kind of car would you buy? I would buy a 69 Camaro. That's what I would buy. I would buy a 69 Camaro, a Peterbilt 362 customized, and probably a Shelby F-150 or the Raptor. Have you ever broken any bone in your body? Yes, I broke my ankle 3 years ago. You have a 95 Chevy K1500 Cockroach. Unfortunately, credit score is more important than the cash in our era. I can understand the reasons that to stop the illegal earnings, but again, more than 30% U.S. folks have no bank account. And, you know, and they're trying to go to a cashless system. You know, this, you know, 9 out of 10 places that are not restaurants, but just places in general, don't want you to pay them cash. And, you know, and every now and then I'll get some cash back when I go to Walmart. And when I pay for like a bottle of water with cash or coffee, they're like, and I almost get like side on, like, you know, and it's just, and what it is, and the reason why they're doing that, one of the reasons, and it's not even like deep state conspiracy theory stuff, it tracks your spending. So, like, for example, your bank will say, hey, if you use our debit card X amount of times this month, you'll get X amount benefits. And the reason why they want that is they want to see where you're spending your money, and then they sell that information for people to capitalize on that. You know, like all these guys are like, all my tools were lost in a boating accident. Yeah. Well, your credit card says otherwise, or your debit card says otherwise, right? And so it's a way to, you know, and remember the early days of the vid? We would look at our local news and they say, okay, if you're at Walmart at this and this time, the health department's going to try to contact you because you might have been exposed to a vid patient, right? Well, how do they know that you were there? Think about it, if you go missing, what do? They look up your cell phone and they look up your credit card, debit card transactions. There's you can't hide what you're spending your money on anymore. And it's crazy that some places won't even like take cash. You probably get a motorhome. I want one of those, like, little teardrop campers. I don't want to be Thomas Wilson level camper or Jeffrey Like level, but I do want something I can pull with the F-150 that we can just go. So I probably would buy something like that. Pro tip: use a card that has points back and pay off every night, so you don't accrue interest. You get the points but don't pay the interest. I paid for my trip to the Maldives with points. Orion, I do that with the business card. My grandfather said, buy your books with cash. Huh. I have A1 credit, but doesn't mean I have to use it. Right. And look, you can't even rent a car without a credit card. So you got to have something, right? But, you know, and I've got my, I've got a card that I specifically use for online. And I've got a card that I specifically use at restaurants, because there's a lot of credit card fraud from restaurants. You know, especially if they like, you give the waiter or waitress your card and they walk off with it. You know, who knows what they're doing with it. So a lot of times I'll use my Cash App card for that, because then I can monitor everything that's being spent. I agree, RN. Diesel bro, I would, you know, Ratman and I had talked about me driving his Lamborghini, but I think he sold it, or at least riding in it. But I went to a car show one day that had a Lamborghini there. Or no, a Ferrari. It was a Ferrari. And he said that you have to go to St. Louis for the oil changes, and the oil changes were $1,500 on that car. And then the insurance. So if I'm going to do expensive cars, it's going to be the old school muscle cars. Camaro, Chevelle, Mustang, Challenger, or no, I'm sorry, Charger or Challenger, the General Lee car. Would it be neat to be in a Lamborghini? Absolutely, but I'd probably also wrap it around a tree as well, so there's that element as well. Even some landlords are asking 700 credit score in Florida to rent a decent townhouse. Max point is 800 if I remember. I think it's 850. But yeah, I mean, that's, if I was a landlord, that's how I'd do it. Do I like the vehicles I have? Yeah, well, I like my F-150. The Honda is very reliable. It's not very comfortable though. And my wife's car, it's her car, so it doesn't matter to me if I like it or not. All the real estate markets are nuts right now. Problem with these exotic cars is they're not reliable. Buy a Toyota or Honda, they run forever. I could agree with that first thought. And then, you know, you're constantly paranoid of someone hitting you too. That's the thing. Yeah, RN, we have a second piece of property, and we were gonna rent it out to family, but they bailed on it, and we decided to just keep it empty, because when they started passing that you couldn't evict or foreclose on something, we wanted nothing to do with that mess. So we didn't want to take that risk. And luckily the house payment is low enough that it hasn't been a major financial drain on us. My mom just sold her house. They paid $52,000 for it in 1989. That house sold today, or last week, for $140,000. Cash, by the way, cash price. That's why I drive the Roach, not the Escalator BMW. Look, I agree with you, Ryan. The less attention you get, if things get really bad, the richer you look, you're going to be a bigger target. People who buy electric cars don't have to worry about the issues with them. That's true. You know, and now, I guess one of the other cars, I would buy my wife a late 70s Corvette Stingray. That's where her dream car is. Yeah, Kenny, I would if I could do it without payments. I would have a new F-150. If I had two houses and one was empty, I'd sell one ASAP. Well, we have a plan right now, RN. We have a plan. And we just need to buy 2 more years, and that's it. And look, what we're paying for 2 houses, most people, is cheaper than what most people are paying for one. We've only got 5 years left of the house we own, or one of the houses now. So, and real estate is an investment. It's not a swing for the fences, get rich quick investment. It's a long-term investment. And as a very smart businessman told me, owning real estate, you can pretty much get whatever you want, you know, when it comes to business credit, because it shows assets. I rebuilt my Ford Inline 6 at 430,000 miles. I'm determined to get 1 million miles out of my 89 Econoline. I had a 95 F-150 with the straight 6, and I regret getting rid of it. That truck gave me no issues except for the clutch, because I didn't know how to drive a stick. Real estate is straight equity. And Orion knows from experience. Now, would I be a slumlord? And no, we've gone that. We've done. This ain't the first time that we've had 2 houses in our possession, and the last time it really screwed us. So, if we were to enter that world at all, we would do it differently. My girlfriend wanted a new Mercedes-Benz, so I told her just lease one and get it out of your system. She did. That is smart, because you watch those commercials, you can get in some really nice cars leased with like 2,000 or 3,000 down, and like a ridiculously low amount per month. I leased a little Ford Ranger, got it brand new, didn't have to pay property tax on it, and my payments were literally $130 a month on that pickup. Investing in land or property is going to be like investing in gold. That's true. And the real estate agent told us why real estate was doing what it's doing now. There's a lot of first-time home buyers out there, so People are emptying houses to buy more houses. The last housing bubble, people were building houses like crazy. Now, I remember driving a school bus back in those days, and how many of the neighborhoods were just empty with for sale signs. Yes, Kenny. Yeah, the 89 Ford isn't my primary vehicle either. Between band gear and random construction stints, it's like a faithful dog. Next Gen is second. Next Gen, your name's being thrown around quite a bit on the Kenworth YouTube channel. Anyways, guys, we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes and Pale Rider still didn't show up. Maybe he really is mad at me and he's like, I'm not going to go watch the Steve live feed because he's just going to take it down. The Kenworth. The new Kenworth trucks, the next gen. Calling them the next gens. They're famous now. Yep, at the end of the day, it's all depreciating assets. Trucks, cars, trailers, all of it. Who made you do YouTube? I started watching trucking channels like Eskimo Sean and Tex Crowley and Trucker Steve, and I thought, you know what, I want to do that. And I like combining music with videos, so that's what I first started doing. And then I decided that when I became an owner-operator at Landstar that I would basically keep people updated on how I was doing, and that morphed into what we're doing now. That's true, John. Look, guys, thanks for the super chats. I really appreciate it. I'm going to bed soon. And yeah, hopefully we'll do a music live stream. If I get home this weekend, maybe I'll do one on Sunday. I'm kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to guitar. But anyways, I appreciate the super chats. You guys are awesome. I appreciate the kind compliments. And if you ever want to reach out to me, my email's in the description. And you know, I'm kind of horrible about returning emails sometimes, so don't take offense. Because I get scatterbrained just like anybody else. Yeah, Ryan, I agree with that. I had that happen to a friend of mine. Yeah, there ain't no snoring. I got the CPAP machine. It's cured me. So, anyways, one of these days we'll have to talk about the CPAP because that came up in James Best's channel. And so I've done live streams about CPAP, but there's not a whole lot of people that care about it. But you should, because a large portion of the trucking community has to have CPAP machines now. So, and that's kind of my forte. That's my expertise. Everything else I'm just learning as I go. So you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for you being you. Peace and love.